Hello, we're here with Looking for Yoda again, and today I'm going to be talking with Krista. I found out something rather amazing. Apparently, she connects to the universe in very unique ways. Um, I heard that you gave birth under some type of hypnosis.
Yes.
So how did that go down?
Yes, I gave birth under hypnosis, self-hypnosis, which all hypnosis is self-hypnosis, where I trained over many, many months, almost my entire pregnancy, to go into my brain, access my subconscious, and change the files in there. So as a culture, childbirth to us is scary, it's painful, it's all those awful things that movies have taught us, at least in the US culture here, that you're screaming in pain, it's the worst experience, and it's just awful. And when in reality, it's an amazing experience, and you can retrain your brain to feel physical sensations differently, and to really bring about a more calm, peaceful, and joyful birth. So the way that I did that, I had a teacher, a trained instructor. I used a course called Hypno Babies. There's lots of other.
There's a course, Hypno
Yes.
Babies.
There's lots of other methods, and you can do it yourself, but it does take practice because it's reconditioning all your years of upbringing and your thoughts. So I'll try to explain it, but definitely Google it if you can, because I'm not a trained teacher in this. I've just learned by doing myself. So kids are really gullible, right? Like little kids. It's because they don't have their critical faculty developed yet. It's physical brain development. Kids are really gullible up until about age 6, 7, when they start to get that critical faculty, or what we call a filter, in place, that when you get information in, it passes through that filter and it kind of fact checks it in your subconscious. Is this something I've learned? Is this something fire's hot? I learned that by touching it once or being around it, and now I know, oh, there's fire, I'm gonna run away from it, right? So you kind of have these things ingrained in your brain. And when we think about childbirth, we think it's scary, it's painful, all those things I talked about. So with hypnosis, what you're able to do is, through a state of deep, deep relaxation, actually bypass your critical faculty and reprogram your subconscious with different thoughts and feelings about the experience.
So you become gullible again?
Basically, yes. It's a great way of thinking about it, yes. You kind of can almost retreat to that childlike state through deep relaxation and meditation, and then kind of feed yourself a different script. So I listened to a guided, kind of, it's very similar to a guided meditation track with soothing music and new words to give myself to think about childbirth. And then even in my waking state, would use a different vocabulary so that I was reinforcing my new thoughts and feelings and not perpetuating old ones. So for example, in Hypno Babies, instead of saying contraction, we call it a pressure wave or a wave. It's not labor, it's your birthing time. So you're taking away the negative connotations and replacing them with positive ones.
So like you're reframing the narrative in your brain.
Exactly, that's exactly how this happens. And I would assume that's the same way hypnosis works for other things like stopping smoking, losing weight, healing past traumas, things like that.
So, but do you think most people can do this, or?
Yes.
I mean,
So
do you have to be kind of like in the frame of mind? I mean, you can't, obviously you can't go in doing the training going, this is all bullshit, I mean.
Yeah, I think, so all hypnosis, again, like I'll say, is self-hypnosis. No one can make you say or do anything that you wouldn't actively do. No one can make you divulge your personal information, or I'm going to put you under hypnosis to go commit a crime. If you're not a criminal, it's not going to happen. You have the power to emerge at any point in time. In our hypnosis sessions, someone would count you out of it, but if there was an emergency or whatever, it's part of the script actually. You will emerge in full awakeness anytime you need to exit the hypnosis. But they say 90 to to 95% of the population can be hypnotized. And it's actually more strong-willed people that can more easily get themselves into hypnosis.
Really? Yes. I've never been hypnotized, so I'm very curious. I guess I don't know what my goal would be like the first time I tried that, but obviously it's not going to be childbirth.
Well, I'll talk to you a little bit about my childbirth experience because I'm telling you it worked.
Well, I'm kind of curious, like the day of, all of a sudden you feel these, what were they called? Waves?
Yes, the waves.
And then you're like, and then all of a sudden you
you
just kicked right into that narrative, or?
Yeah, so there's certain tracks that we reserved just for birthing time, which is very specific, like I allow my body to birth my baby. Like you don't want to play that before it's time, right? So I consulted with my doula. I'm like, I think it's a time. Should I play the tracks? And she's like, yep, you're in it. Like, go for it. So we turned on those birthing day affirmations and those tracks, and was able to kind of go to a different place when it was the right time to do so. And what I should say about it too is I wasn't in a trance where I didn't know what was going on, or people would look at me and think, what is wrong with her? It was eyes open hypnosis, where we talk about from a visualization standpoint of kind of on-off switch. So I visualize an on-off switch actually like on the base of my spine, and I say I'm going to turn off all the electrical current from my shoulders down, or from my waist down, wherever I was feeling the pain. And then that would say, kind of put me to sleep a little bit. I'd relax and kind of go limp. And then I would say to myself, okay, I'm going to move it into the neutral position and open my eyes. So I kind of half come out of the hypnosis a little bit and keep it just where I needed it. We call it hypnoanesthesia. So I could direct the hypnosis, the hypnoanesthesia where I needed it, and still have my eyes open. I could be talking to you but not feeling the pain. So kind of blocking off different areas of our bodies. It's actually another really interesting story study, again, look it up, where there's been people that have had surgery under medical hypnosis when they're allergic to anesthesia or painkillers. So a guy had his knee replaced under hypnosis. So it's possible, and that's something that I love talking about because I think we sell ourselves short in what our mind and body can do.
So how long was the birthing?
Yeah, so I went to the birth center around 9 p.m. and I had her at about 10:15 p.m. So I wasn't there long at all. I labored at home mostly because, again, I was comfortable and I wasn't going to get an epidural or any of those things, and there was no reason for me to be in a hospital. I had a low risk pregnancy, and as long as I was comfortable, I stayed at home. I think if I had another baby, I would just stay home the whole time. It was kind of like, what's the point of getting in the car and going somewhere when I could just stay here and do it. But what was really interesting was I had retrained my brain to think about the pain as pressure. So I never felt any pain. Was it sensation-free? No. Was it pain-free? Yes. And what was really cool about that was it really felt like the first time my daughter and I were working together on something, because I could feel her moving in my body, working herself down the birth canal, and I was very connected and present to what was happening.
So you're saying this was, it wasn't just you with the hypnotism and doing all this, you felt like a partnership with your child.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I could feel her, without going into too much information, I could feel her do the kind of tuck and twist that babies do as they're working their shoulders out. And it was this moment of clarity and kind of just ultimate clarity of like, we are working together, and also just respecting her as a person and her choosing to be born, and that, I firmly believe that babies choose their birthdays and choose how to be born and entering this world. And it was a really special moment of seeing her as not just this little lifeless blob, that she was her own person, and really kind of felt very connected to her soul as an individual.
So way you did it, you are just infinitely more in touch with the whole experience than somebody who's in pain and maybe dealing with drugs and just like the pain is just like that's what they think of and they're not
Right.
So
I really feel for those mothers that have had that painful experience because I had such a wonderful experience. It was joy filled. It was a connection with my baby, a connection with my body. It felt like that ultimate transcendence of connecting with this higher power of all the women that have gone before me. I mean, it was a true, this like goddess birth moment that was.
This is why I do these things. This is why I do transcendence. Transcendence,
it really
connecting,
felt like that.
Connecting with the universe.
It felt like this thing that was like, this is what my body was made to do. This is a new life coming in. There's this beautiful quote that says, when a baby is born, so is a mother. And I felt that. I could start crying right now. I have chills. I felt that 1,000 times over because I was present in that moment and getting to experience like the ultimate kind of reality as a human being of bringing new life into this world and what that really feels like and what that means like means to me on a deeper spiritual level that a lot of women miss out on because we don't give ourselves credit for what we're capable of.
Wow. What about like before? I'm curious as to the people in your life. Did you have family members or people that were like, what are you doing? Or they were really on board, or how did that go?
Yeah. People weren't surprised that I made this choice. It's kind of part of how I live my life. But there's another principle that we talk about when you're going down this path of your bubble of peace. So if this is going to work and I'm really going to be reprogramming my subconscious, I can't have any naysayers, haters in my life about this. So I would distance myself from those things or certain things in pop culture that I didn't let myself watch or be exposed to, and really just kind of went all in on this, or said to myself when someone was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna do that? You're crazy. It's the worst experience. It's so painful. I would say to myself, bubble of peace. I would visualize an actual bubble around me and only take in what's helpful to me and let everything else bounce off. So it was a real tool that was taught as part of this program that you're going to encounter negative things that are going to try to take you off track. It's something that I can use in my everyday life too. Anytime I'm on a goal, someone's going to say no, I say it just bounces right off of me. It's not what I'm about.
Yeah, no, I've discovered that the last few years. I've gotten more into I take in the positive, and if there are some naysayers, then they're by the waysayers.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. Yeah.
Wow. And so, how old is she now?
She's 4.
4. So you have one. Are you thinking about ever doing this again?
I think she'll be our one and only. Not that I wouldn't do it again, but I feel like our family is complete.
So is there anything else you could say to women who might still be on the fence and hesitating? Like, it is pretty incredible. You're the first person I've ever met that was. I never even thought about it.
Yeah, you can watch videos. Check out more YouTube videos. You can watch people go through it.
It's amazing.
Yeah. I would just tell other women that they're capable and that we're capable of more than we think, and that our bodies were built to do this. Sure, there's circumstances where medical interventions are needed, but by and large, like, you can do it. And even if something comes up where it didn't go as planned and they had to have a C-section, that you can still plan for that in a mindful way as well. And I think we can't let ourselves be the victims of the medical community. And kind of one thing we're taught to is like, doctors work for you, and that you're the one writing their paychecks, whether it's the insurance company or the hospital or whoever, that you're the person in charge, and that you make your own decisions and you're responsible for your own choices. So whether you whether you choose hypnosis or you choose something else, I don't care. As long as you're making a conscious decision and you've thought about it and you've weighed all the pros and cons and the risks and really listen to your own intuition too. But whatever you choose, as long as you've made an informed decision, that's fine.
Did you ever consider like what would have happened if you had to get a C-section? Would you be in self-hypnosis?
I don't know. We didn't go down that route because, again, I was fully in believing that this was going to happen. But I do think that I had enough peace about the situation, and again, trusting in my body and my baby, that if it got to that point and that's how she was choosing she needed to be born, then that's what I would go with peace in my decision and everything that I prepared to do.
So there are some questions I tend to ask everybody when I do these interviews. Do you consider yourself a spiritual person?
I do, yeah.
How would you describe that to me?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely, for me, a higher power at work in the universe, whether that's someone's energy and connectivity. I tend to think about religion as a cultural practice of a way of putting words to feelings, whether that be Buddhist in Asia or a Christian in the United States. I think we're all just searching for trying to put words to what we all feel as human beings. So I definitely feel that as a spiritual connection.
Connection. Now, we've talked about the connection when you were giving birth, this whole process, but what about, are there other ways you connect that are maybe not quite that transcendent, but like that? Have you had other experiences like that?
For me, I think what gets me out of the hustle and bustle of life and kind of gets me connected to sort of that spiritual energy of others is just listening wholeheartedly to other people's stories and validating their own feelings. I'm a crier person. If I see someone else crying, I can't help but cry.
I'm pretty much an empath.
Yeah, and I think that those types of conversations, I participate in a lot of peer support groups for various causes that are important to me, and hearing other people's struggles and stories and being able to connect with them in a human way outside of maybe how we grew up or what our hobbies are, interests are, but really seeing a person for who they are in that moment and being able to empathize with their thoughts and feelings is really a moment of transcendence for me.
What's your superpower?
I think that might be a double-edged sword question too, is to be able to let myself feel other people's feelings and identify with where they are and what they're doing kind of helps me be a better person, and I think also validates other people's feelings, but can also be a lot to take on sometimes.
Yeah, I was just thinking that because I feel similarly. Sometimes it can kind of get overwhelming when you bring in like some of those emotions or so yeah.
Sometimes I think people could see me as cold or calculated because in especially professional situations I do feel like I need to kind of protect myself from other people's feelings so that I can maintain kind of a sense of leadership, if you will, or kind of like poise in a situation where I know that I can become overwhelmed with emotion. Maybe not appropriate in a business meeting.
Right, no, I get it. I get it.
It's a tricky one.
Yeah. So I also, the question, what is the meaning of life, is just like, it's something that preoccupies me. Like, I'm very much a very existential kind of person. Like, this is why I like having conversations like this with people. It's like, what is it all about? And I mean, to a certain extent, I want to know what you think it's all about, but to a certain extent, I almost feel like you've kind of answered it in a certain way with this about having a child and being a mother. It's like, I was like, well, okay, I'm not going to be able to do that, but yeah, I mean,
person too. It's like I can't think about it too much, or I'll just drive myself
I
crazy.
know. I think I create more questions than there are answers, and sometimes I don't think the answers are really that important. It's more the conversations, and it's the being inquisitive or curious. You know, like what the heck? What are we doing?
In a way, what does it matter? You know, like just living in the moment and treating other people with respect and love, I think is what matters. And if there's something beyond or not, like maybe it's not important and it's about what's happening right here in this moment.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. I tend to have like weekends where, like on Monday, someone will say, "What'd you do this weekend?" And I'll just kind of blankly look at them and I'm like, it's not because I party too much, but it's because, I just kind of, when things happen, I just like to be there, just to be there. And sure, I have my Facebook feed. I can like, oh, that's what I did, but being here and now. And before I finish, were there certain breathing techniques?
I think just the typical deep breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth, and just releasing that tension was so important. So nothing super special.
So do you use any of these techniques for other things? Like, I don't know, you go to the dentist or whatever?
Yes, the dentist. I don't think I could ever be one to I don't know, maybe I'd challenge myself someday to get a filling without nail pain.
Oh God, I can't even.
I think it could work. I believe it could work, but I'm not quite there yet. But definitely for relaxation techniques and just learning. Well, I learned so much about myself through this experience, and sure, motherhood changes everyone. I think fatherhood changes people too. But just learning what I'm capable of, and just learning how to put myself first when I need to, is just as important as the outcome.
Well, I really appreciate you sharing. This is great.
Thanks.
I mean,
it was fun.
Yeah.
I hope more people check out hypnosis. It's an underused tool, and it's
you've definitely convinced me to somewhere in the future. I'm going to give myself up to hypnosis.
You should try it.
Yeah, I want to. Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God.